Hi, I'm Jayson Krause. Welcome back to 52 People. This is the second episode of a three-part series. Last episode, we sat down with our special guest, stranger number 2 from the book, Chris Cook, where we talked about what's transpired between the first moment that we bumped into each other 3 years ago and now. As well, we went over the first 4 questions. In today's episode, we'll talk about questions 5 to 7, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Yeah, and you talk about accomplishments, and when it comes to accomplishing things, traveling, doing the things that you've done, you've surfed in Brazil, you've done some pretty cool stuff. Question 5, when we first asked it, there was only one part, and we'll get to the second part. But out of all the great things that you've done, traveling across the world and everything, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment?
When I'm answering this, I'm thinking back to what I'm pretty sure my answer was. And just after I got out of high school, I moved out on my own and put it on my prosthetics. I was able to do it to about a 90% level. And there's just a couple tiny little things that I needed to get assistance with and to get the legs on completely. And a few years after that, I just kind of got sick of always having to have somebody right there. And I was able to figure out a system to do it completely on my own. And that one thing is what kind of moved me to the point that I am now. It's like, okay, I don't need any assistance at all. I am 100% totally independent. I rely on myself for everything that I do in my everyday life. And I think that is the biggest thing. And it's such a small thing, seemingly, but for me it was just it turned the world from something this big into endless possibilities.
Expanded your world.
Huge, big time. All of a sudden I didn't need to have a partner in crime along with me for something that took 30 seconds in a day. But that tiny little 30-second assistance that I needed was a lifetime of difference.
So we talked about the greatest accomplishment. And now the flip side that I added to that question just shortly after I interviewed you, early on in the process, is now 5B, which is, what are you most ashamed of, looking back?
What am I most ashamed of?
So we talked about the greatest accomplishment. And now the flip side that I added to that question just shortly after I interviewed you, early on in the process, is now 5B, which is, what are you most ashamed of, looking back?
What am I most ashamed of? Really real Debbie Downer here. Most ashamed of, I guess I don't have anything that I'm really truly ashamed of, because I look at your failures in life, the hiccups that you've had in life, as creating the person that you are today. You learn from your mistakes. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's true. I don't have anything that I'm really overly ashamed of. And I think what I would be ashamed of would be, like I said earlier, on that last day on earth, looking back and saying, or coming to the realization that, oh crap, I wanted to do this, and this, and I found so many excuses. that would be what I would be ashamed of. But up to this point, I don't really have anything that I'm truly ashamed of. Things I wouldn't do over again,
but not
ashamed.
necessarily ashamed
Yeah.
of. Great. When you see it, when you experience it, what is it that makes you sad?
I'm kind of glad that I didn't go back and reread what I had said before, because then I could formulate my answers and improve on them. What is it makes me sad? Loss. Whether it be the loss of someone you love, care about, or defeat in something that you're doing. But you have to make sure that those moments are fleeting. You want to come through them quickly and realize that the loss of someone that you love, celebrate their life and take what you learned from that person and make improvements on yourself.
Great. The seventh question, when you look back, what is the hardest thing you've ever had to experience?
I had a few cousins that lost their lives to one to cancer and one to just a freak accident in a windstorm. And those ones were particularly difficult. It was Ketsi and Kira. Ketsi was 5, Kira was 3. And seeing lives cut short at such an early age, that was difficult. And I think the precise moment where it really got difficult was seeing how small the casket was. It was so small that the usual 6 pallbearers was too many. And you think about all the circumstances with which they, which their lives were cut short, and it wasn't those specifics. It was just the size of the casket that really hit me. And yeah, those ones were just, it's like, holy crap, like that is just, it's not right.
Question number 7 is a question that people often, after they read the book, they come and talk to me about when you answered question 7 the first time around in the book. And you shared the same story about your cousins passing away. But one of the pieces that blows people away is you led question 7 with, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, my life's been pretty easy.
Yeah, it has.
And so what does it feel like to you for people to sit back and say, wow, a guy born with no arms and no legs, in the grand scheme of things, his life is pretty easy?
Yeah, you would think that there'd be some difficulties with it, but it's all a matter of how you attack life. The day I was born, I don't remember it, but they've told me about it. My uncle was down from Edmonton, and my grandparents, who live in BC, they weren't able to make it out before I was born. So my uncle phoned my grandma and grandpa and said, Bruce and Barb, my mom and dad, they had a baby boy. He's healthy, but he's missing both arms and both legs. And my grandma didn't pause for a second. And apparently she said, well, Bruce never did finish anything he started. So it was quite apparent right from the very beginning that there was not going to be a whole lot of sympathy. It was going to be a lot of joking around, and that's what my life has been. I mean, Nathan Sikoria. He lived with some good buddies of mine. I spent a lot of time in that house, and they'll all tell you that it was fair game to joke around about whatever with me. I make the jokes. I welcome good jokes. So, I have fun. I live life to the fullest, like I said earlier. If you can't laugh at life, what can you laugh at?
That's the conclusion of episode number 2. In our final episode, we'll go through the remaining questions with Chris and go even deeper into the life of this remarkable person. Until next time, I'm Jayson Krause. Thanks for watching 52 People.